Okay, here we go with assignment 4, which is a capstone project. I guess before I get into the details, I should say congratulations. You've made it to assignment 4. We've really covered a lot of material in this course in a short amount of time, so it is challenging. So congratulations for making it this far. And if you've made it this far, you can make it the rest of the way. What I'm trying to accomplish here with this assignment is really bring it all together. We've covered a tremendous amount of material here in a little bit less than 8 weeks. And so with this assignment, what I'm trying to do is help you wrap your head around all this material. And so it's really a review, and we're going to be discussing a few new concepts as well. So that's the purpose of this assignment, so that when you're done with it, say, yeah, I got it. I got it. All right. So here we go. With this video, I'm going to do parts 1, 2, and 3 of this assignment. And then with the second video, it's going to be parts 4 through 7. So this is just the assignment. You can see assignment 4, rich text file, and it goes through 7. So again, I'm going to go through parts 1, 2, and 3. And then with this video and the second video, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, so part 1. And before we get into part 1, I should also mention this. To help you with this project, in addition to this video, I've created a template for you. And this is it. This is the template. So when you submit your assignment, take this template, write your stuff, your answers on this template, and also submit a Microsoft project file as well. Okay, and both of these will be loaded into D2L, so you can get access to them. All right, so here we go. Initiating a project, chapters 1 and 2. So review those chapters, and what I'd like you to do is identify a new project, not the one that you did in the homework assignment 3. And this should be straightforward. Give the project a name, and then we haven't done this yet formally anyway. Establish the project objective, so that write it down, and then identify a list of project deliverables and acceptance criteria for the deliverables. That's 5 points. Again, review chapters 1 and 2 for this part of the assignment. So let's just go back to this template, and here I am. Notice that's right here, and so download this template onto your computing device, save it, give it a name. Homework assignment 4, and then right here, project management, homework assignment 4, to put a little abstract in there, whatever. You can put whatever you want in there, and just tell me who you are. Author, misspelled, spell that right, and then just put whatever your name is, and then here we are in initiating a project. So answer the questions from the assignment in the template right here. Bam, there you go. And you can use bullet points as you will, or use block formatting. Make it look nice. Okay. All right, that's part 1. Should be fairly straightforward. Part 2, tasks, activities, sequences, and work breakdown structure. Review chapter 4, 5 points. This should be fairly, you just did a lot of this, and basically you did this in homework assignment 3, but when we're learning software, it helps to reinforce the ideas. So again, 15 to 20 tasks to meet the project objectives up here. Again, a different project than you did for homework assignment 3. Break the tasks into at least 3 task categories by utilizing summary tasks. We talked about that in the last video, so if you need help with that, review those videos. Identify immediate predecessors, successors for each task, and apply a work breakdown structure for the activities. Okay, let's go back to the template, and what do I say here? All right, part 2, task, activity sequence, work breakdown structure. Use Microsoft Project to complete this part. So again, with this assignment, you're submitting this template, and you're also submitting Microsoft Project file. So let's go to Microsoft Project and talk a little bit about this. Okay, I'm in Microsoft Project, and what I did is I just took this template here, a residential construction template, and the reason why I'm showing this to you is just to to help you get your arms around just really a big part of this package, since it is so complex, is getting it into the view that makes sense for you, seeing the big picture of it, if you will. And I want to show you a couple things if you haven't picked up on these so far, and more than likely you missed one or two of them just because it's so complex. So here I am. This is a template. I didn't complete this, so it's just part of Microsoft project as a template to take and modify. It's called residential construction, and I want to show you a couple of views. First thing I want to show you is I'm going to go to a format here. I'm up at the top here, main menu, format. And then there's these tasks here, project summary and summary tasks. I mentioned this before, but let's go to it. Project summary and summary tasks. Okay, let me move this around here. I'm just going to do this for right now. Okay, let's take that off. Project summary. So that's the summary of the entire project. Kind of a big, important thing, right? 152 days. Let's see, if I don't have that there, it's just like gobbledygook, right? And this is sort of becomes gobbledygook when I take out the summary tasks. All the groups of tasks that make it up the project summary and that. So, bam, as they say. Make sure I think it just makes more sense to have both of them. That and that. Otherwise, you're just kind of messing around in the dark here. Because especially it's 152 days, so there's a lot of detail, tremendous amount of detail here. So, alright, so if you don't have those clicked, click them. So that's just by going to Format, Project Summary, and Summary Tasks. Another thing that you should click, if you haven't experimented with this, and you should, go to View. So again, I'm on the main menu here. I'm going View, and then there's these two things right here. Okay, so I'm going to click this. This is a details. This is predecessor and resource name. I'm going to take that off right now, but that just comes up. And then if I right click here, I can show split, or I can just take it off that way, or I can put it back on. And details, again, I right click, and all this show split it's a cool thing to have, or to pop up. Sometimes you need it, sometimes you don't. I'm just going to take it off right now. I want to show you this too. Timeline. Bam, double bam. So this just kind of lays it all out. Lays it all out. And what these blue little boxes are really, they are the summary tasks. So framing this is the title of the summary task. So if I went down here, I bet I'm going to find framing. Yes, I do. Also foundation. It's 22 days. I added all these up here. 22 days. And foundation, same thing. It's right there. So that's good to know. Good to have. So just as a matter of course, I think it really makes sense just to, again, view the timeline. And sometimes you want the details there. Sometimes you don't. But almost always, it makes sense to have the timeline there, because this is the big picture. This keeps our mind focused to see where we're going. So just the timeline makes a lot of sense. Another thing I wanted to point out here, and some of you struggle with this in homework assignment 3, and there's a couple things here. The first thing is this. I'm going to move this. And it's really this. I'm just going to focus on this. Predecessors. Predecessor, successor. It all comes down to what follows, right? Or what's the predecessor? And notice a couple of things, because some of you missed this, and I just want to highlight it. Everything essentially has a predecessor. Notice this. I'm going to highlight that. I'm going to go down. I'm going to go up. The only thing that doesn't have a predecessor is, and notice there's no predecessors for the summary tasks. And that's why I mentioned in the last video that you might want to take it off, because it can be a little bit distracting. So you could take it off, and again, to do that, we just go like this. You could take it off. I'm just going to put it back on because I just like seeing groupings. So, but notice every single task has a predecessor except the first one. Again, maybe it does make sense to take that on. Every single one. Not summary tasks, but every single one. And notice that they don't all tee up. They don't all tee up. Sometimes it's not one right after the other. Sometimes 18, 19, 20, all of a sudden, what's this foundation for? It's different. It's 21, it's 16. They don't all tee up. It's not serial. Projects aren't typically serial. A few of them are or can be, but they don't. One thing doesn't go right after another. And we can see that. Sometimes it does. Look up here. Project, or look what we got here. This is just the timeline. We got general conditions, okay, cool, foundation, well, that's serial. It's one right after another. Framing, and all of a sudden, you know what? We're framing this thing, this house, and then we just know this intuitively. All of a sudden, dry-in. This is like roughing in. What is it? We can find out the details of what that is just by, going here, and this is where I like summary tasks. Just, we know that. Foundation, okay. Let's just look at this. 14, 15, 14, 16, da, 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 da. Here it goes. But then, when we get to framing, then we do dry-in, and we can do utility. These are different. Has a different predecessor. The predecessor for drying is not utility. It's framing, because you can do dry-in while you're finishing up framing, and that's how we get at the critical path. That's how we manage projects. That's how we reduce slack. That's the core of it. So that's why it's so important to have predecessors. I've had a few students who said, why don't we just use Excel? Excel doesn't give you this. It doesn't give you the ability to set predecessors. It doesn't give you this big picture. It doesn't do it. It'll lay it out in a Gantt chart, but it won't do this. And this is what you need to really become an effective project manager. How do I put all the stuff in the shortest amount of time? It's that simple. So make sure that each one of these tasks has a predecessor, and except for the first one, obviously, because that is fundamental to how you're going to manage this thing, your project, as you move forward. And so all the concepts from Slack and all that concepts from the text, that becomes visual here, visual right there. Okay, another concept I want to talk about in the lynda.com video. So if you haven't done that extra credit, I really encourage you to, because I'm not asking you to watch the whole video. It's just the first 4 learning modules. It's an hour or whatever, hour and a half, something like that. I don't know, somewhere in there. But one of the things that she does such a good job of is explaining why you don't want this scheduling thing to come up here. Some of you had this schedule, like it said that there will be a schedule here or wherever, somewhere in there, and she does a great job of explaining why you don't want that. And it really has to do with, you don't want to limit the schedule for a specific item, a specific task. You don't want to do that, because otherwise the task doesn't become free-flowing. It doesn't when you make changes above or below, especially when you make changes above, and then all of a sudden you have this task scheduled for a certain specific time. It throws off the entire schedule. It makes it more complicated. So watch those lynda.com videos. Watch that learning component where she discusses why this little schedule, if you scheduled this, kind of hard scheduled it for a certain date, why that's not a good thing to do in Microsoft Project. Occasionally it will be required, but almost always it isn't. So if you have a little schedule that pops up here, get rid of it. Let Microsoft Project schedule what's called the baseline schedule. Okay, I'm back into this assignment here because I'm just so many different bullet points. I want to make sure that I'm keeping my thought process well, and you're probably right there with me. Now what do I do? All right, so we're here. So So you identify 15 to 20 tasks to meet the project objectives, break the tasks into at least 3 task categories, utilizing summary tasks, we got that. Identify immediate predecessors, successors for each task. It's really, probably should just say predecessor. That's 2 points, you know how to do that. And then apply a work breakdown structure to the activities. And we didn't discuss that. Most of you got it, but not everybody for homework assignment 3. So let me just pop back in and show you how simple that is. Okay, I'm in Microsoft Project, and work breakdown structure, it's kind of been hidden unless you want to customize this, and a few of you did, which I was impressed with in homework assignment 3. You customized your own naming nomenclature, if you will, but it's really a simple thing. So I'm right here, and notice where the cursor is. It's on this top bar here, or whatever it is you want to call it. I click that, highlight the entire column, right click, insert column, pick one. There it is. That's simple. That's simple. Okay, cool. We've dinged off part 1, part 2. Now we're on part 3. Task responsibility, baseline schedule estimate. It's only 5 points because this is essentially a review from homework assignment 3, but I just want to make sure we got this concept down here. So let's go to it, and let's go back to this template here. And here's the template. It says yes, use Microsoft Project to complete this part. So we'll jump into Project and complete this part. Okay, back on Microsoft Project, and I need to assign resources. Or first thing I need to do is create resources. So there's a couple ways we have to get to the resource sheet, and we can do that in a couple ways. It's one of the challenges of this package. I think it's like, you know, with a lot of packages, you don't have so many different ways to get at stuff. But with this, you got a few. We could do this. I could go resources, and this is kind of what I do. I just think of these in chunks. Even though I know there's a quicker way, I'm just going to do this. And I'm going to go to the resource sheet, and there. It took longer, but whatever, not that much longer. Okay, so this will be blank for you, and so there's different kinds of resources in homework assignment 3. You went through that, but it is important to assign a person in addition to other resources, but a person to a task. Otherwise, as you know, if you don't have someone responsible for it, it tends not to happen. so do the resources, and just a resource name. It can be broad, like a contractor or a finish carpenter, whatever. Resource name, and then then I'm not real for this part. For this assignment, homework assignment 4, we're not going to get into this cost stuff with this part of the assignment, but we will later. But I think it's part 5. But sign the names. Sign, like this is a mark, whatever the case may be. So create the resource name and then assign it to the task. Okay, let me get back to tasks. Here I am back here, and then I'm just going to move this over. Predecessors, talk about resource name, and that's just a simple process of dinging it off the list. It should be on a list. Once you create the resource sheet, it should be here, and then you're just assigning the resource names. Okay. Okay, back in here. So part 3, for each task, identify one primary person responsible for completing the task. Should be able to do that. Now let's talk about this thing called create a baseline schedule for completing the project, and then we'll be done. We're almost done, and then we'll move on to another video. So let's go back into Microsoft Project and just talk about that for a second. Okay, we're in Project, and the book talks a lot about this too. This baseline schedule, and let me tell you if you have a problem with this. Some of you folks put this together wrong, and you're really not going to generate a baseline schedule. If you have question marks, see this duration part here, start and finish, If you have question marks popping up, just generated by Microsoft Project, it's like Microsoft Project saying, wait a second here, are you sure about this? You shouldn't have any question marks, and you can get question marks by not putting it in correctly. So this is where it gets a little bit subtle, but really important to understand. So notice this, and this is where viewing these things can be really critical. Again, viewing here, the timeline's critical, and also the format. We need to see these things. We need to see this, of course, but we need, and maybe you just want to. I really feel like it's important to have this here because okay, so that's there, and this, some of you, what you did is you went like this, and all of a sudden you see this red thing here, and that's another flag. Wow. Notice the red. Saying, can we get this done in that amount of time? So don't be messing with this right here. This is an automatic calculation field, and I almost feel like we shouldn't be able to, but that's what it is. Notice this says 21, and that says 19, and so all of a sudden this summary task is adding up to 19, but these are out here. The details are out farther, so it's going, danger, Will Robinson. We got a problem here. So don't be messing with the general tab, the general condition. This calculates automatically. You notice when I keep on going lower, that gets smaller, and we got real issues now. So see that? We got a line, and all of a sudden this thing up here is this. That's 12 days. This here line, and this is a red going. Wait a second, we got a problem. So if you see red on in your project, you got issues, and you're probably because you went up here when you shouldn't have. So let me go back and put this to 21 days. All's well with the world. The red is gone. This, I don't know what you call this. I'm not good with color. But anyway, whatever that's called. So it's 21 days, but notice that it's just adding up the detail. This is adding up the detail. So you shouldn't be adding things. You should just do the details, and then I don't know why this has 0 days, because that doesn't make a lot of sense. Anyway, right here, it's going to take maybe a half a day, whatever it is. But anyway, site work 3 days. It's just adding them up. And so and if I did this, I went and installed underground utilities. You kidding me? You can install underground utilities in 1 day? That seems more like 3 days. Okay, I want to show you something. So notice 152 days duration total. I'm going to change one of the details. I'm going to say, you know what, I've thought about this. There's no way we can do that. Again, what was this up here? That was 152. I'm going to change it. I'm going to say, you know what, I think it's 3 days. Okay, all right. Added. See, it added to 3 days. That's where you make the changes. That's where you make these changes to your baseline. Get your baseline schedule. Not up here, not in the summary, but here. Maybe I want to go back down. Whatever. 1 day. That's how you do it. That's how it works. Or I could go. There you go. Okay. That's doing your baseline schedule. That's what it's all about. Here, the detail here, not in the summary tasks. That's where you put it. That's where you change it. And you don't, to that end, you don't put it here. You don't put your tasks here at the beginning and guess, well, this is a 90-day project. You don't do that. You let the details figure it out. You let the details figure it out. Automatically calculates it. That's what this is all about. Going back in, revising the details, it will sum up to it. Okay, let's see where we're at here. Let's see. We're done with 1, 2, 3. That's this video. Thanks for hanging in there. And when you're done with this, done this part, move on to the second video, parts 4, 5, 6, and 7.